All right, guys, so here we are. So any part that you have available here, we are going to make a drawing. Okay, so the purpose of making a drawing is so that we can see all the dimensions that are critical so that somebody can actually machine this part properly. Okay, so also you're not going to take your computers to the back to keep double checking all your measurements because these things are expensive and a sheet of paper is not. So I'm just going to go over here to File. Click on File and go down to New Drawing. Okay, New Drawing. And we go over here to From Design. Okay, so File, New Drawing, From Design. We don't have an animation yet, so that doesn't apply. All right, it highlights this and says, hey, is this the drawing you want? And I'm going to say, sure, in just 1 second. What you do need to check is this sheet size. Right now it's saying 17 by 11. We don't have a printer that will go 17 by 11. But we don't have enough paper, I should say. So we're going to go down to the A size, which is 8.5 by 11. Okay, that's down here in the sheet size. Okay, the standard ASME is totally fine. We want to contain the full assembly. It's in inches, right? So I should be good to go here. Okay, so I'm going to click OK. So now it's going to go over to a different area. Okay, so what we have, your bottom part is probably says something different. Okay, so your bottom might be completely blank. Is your bottom part blank? It might have whatever it's saved as, right? So in the project name, like if you name this as thingamajig or something like that, it's probably up here, but the layout might be different. It's probably going to say whatever you named it as. It's going to import that. Okay, and so then it might fill in your name and things like that. I don't want to worry about what that bottom part says because in the grand scheme of things, that's not what we're focusing on here. So notice that I'm kind of moving this around, and the orientation and appearance over here says front. Okay, if I click to top, it changes. See, if I click right or front, it changes. Okay, if I go back to the right side, it changes. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to the top view, and I'm going to just click it right here in the upper left. Okay, notice over here it has the scale. It says 1 to 2. You can adjust that if the piece is really small or really big or whatever. You can basically, that's your way of expanding it, right? So if I click on it, let's say I want to say 1 to 3. Okay, notice it shrunk it. Okay, if I go 1 to 2, it makes it bigger. If I go 1 to 1, then it's big, right? So I'll go with 1 to 2 because that looks the most appropriate for what I want. Okay, everybody good so far? So I'm going to click OK. All right, so it's up here in the upper left. Now, what I'm going to do is if you look at this part in the upper left, I hover over the thing that says projected view, the projected view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to go back to the part that I just placed. I'm going to click on the part that I just placed, and I'm going to drag it down. Okay, I'm going to drag it down. So now I'm getting a different view of that part. And I'm going to go over here. This gives me like a 3D view. So it actually is giving me a whole bunch of different views depending on where I put it. Okay, so it's basically giving me the views that are kind of relevant. Okay, typically you want to have the if I go up, it goes over here, but I think we're okay. So I'm gonna hit escape. I'm actually gonna right click on this guy and get rid of. I'm gonna click on that one, delete it. Okay, because I think that's kind of not necessary. All right, so right now I've got something that looks like this. Everybody okay so far? Okay. So here are some things that we might need to that I want to point out. If you look at this bottom one that I placed, I have these dashed lines. I have the dashed lines. If you notice, those dashed lines, if I go up, what do they line up with? The hole, right? So those are like construction lines. And on these drawings, it's telling you, hey, there's something there. You can't see it, but there's something there. All right. So same thing over here. If I go from this side to here, all right, that's showing me what those, that's showing me that there's something there from that view. Okay. So we can also move through and we can create some different views and whatnot if we need it. Okay. This part here just kind of looks kind of neat because you can kind of see what the 3D thing should look like. Okay. So far so good, right? Now, what's important here are the dimensions, right? So I go up here to the top middle for dimensions. I'm going to click on the one on the left. And what I can do is I can essentially go through and click on this, and it will give me the different dimensions that I might want. Okay. So I can click here on this, and it'll tell me that's 4.5, and I can place it wherever I want. Okay. I can go down here, and it tells me that that's 1.5. Okay. And I can place that wherever I want. Okay. The other part that's probably important is clicking this one, and I can place it right there. Isn't the hole size probably important? I'm going to click there. Notice that, so it's going to give me all sorts of information depending on where I go. If I go to the bottom, it's trying to tell me where that is. Okay, so you might find that it gets a little bit goofy. I'm going to go back to this circle. Let's see. Okay, it's trying to tell me the center. Oh, where'd it go? It's difficult to see. I'm trying to get the 0.26. It's not letting me see that right now. Maybe if I zoom in on it, it might make it easier. Go back to dimension. There we go. So I zoom in, and it gives me that little like circle with the line through it. That's letting me know that that's the diameter. Okay. So then I'm going to click on that one, bring that down. I'm going to click on, I already know that that's 1.5. I can click on 2 points like I just did. I don't know if you guys saw that, but if I click on this as a point, I can click on, like, notice it highlights it as an intersection. I can click there and at the bottom, and I can get how big that intersection piece is. Okay. So right now I'm putting a whole bunch of lines on here, a whole bunch of dimensions, and you can see that it gets kind of busy. So you're only going to want to place the ones on there that you really need, right? Because you are taking this sheet to the back and making the part. Okay. So if you know what it says and you know what's going on, then that should be good enough. Now, keep in mind that later on, like if you guys are like go into engineering or something like that and you're designing things, you're going to want to make sure that you give the person making the object enough information as possible, right? Like to me, like maybe it's important that you know what this angle is. right? Maybe you need to know what that angle is. Okay, so I should, actually, I'm going to measure this too, from here to here. Bless you. So I put that in there. Should be a way to get the angle. Here we go, angular dimension. Okay, so we got this angular dimension. I can go here, or I can go click on that one, and it's telling me that it's 45 degrees right there. See that?
How did you get the angle dimension?
I clicked on the dimension drop down, and it's right there. Okay, there's a whole bunch of stuff in there that you can use. It's pretty great. The problem is like what Fusion does is at the top, it gives you the most commonly used things, right? So if you want more specifics, you can click the drop down to get more info. Okay. So that's an awful lot of stuff right here on here. It actually looks a little bit extra busy. Okay. So I'm going to, so we're basically looking at everything from the top view right here, which is where you're going to have most of your layout. Now, over here on this bottom part, there is a dimension that is going to be that we haven't accounted for on this view, right? Also notice, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this. If you notice this line that right here, this line right here, that's showing an edge from right here. It's showing an edge, a difference between these two faces. Okay, it's showing us that. So it goes straight down and it gives you this line. This one goes straight down in here. Okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, but there's one thing that we did not account for right here, and that's what? This little jog right here, from here to here, right? That little part there, right? And also really the height of the object. Okay, so we can go ahead, go to dimension again, and I can click here, drag it out to the side. That's 1.5, right? Should be good. I also need to know from this point to that point is 0.31. From here to here should be 0.31. And then from here to here is 0.88. Okay. Now this is kind of hard to see, like where it's at. Oh, I don't want to do that. So if you only want to place one of those, and then the other one, the 0.88, shouldn't we be able to figure out what the other one is based on that by doing some subtraction? Should be able to, right? But sometimes people have difficulty with that. A lot of times, like for example, with robotics, right? When we send drawings to the back shop, sometimes they want to say, you forgot a dimension. And then the designers will say, well, you could get it from looking at this and this. And they say, yeah, but you need to specify that, right? Because you want to make sure that they can make the part to the specs as quickly as possible. The more thinking that they have to do, the longer it takes, okay? And the more open things are for interpretation. And you don't want that, right? Downtime, like time is money, right? So if this were like the real world, when you were sending things back for somebody to make, you'd want to put all the dimensions in that are needed, okay? So other than that, I don't believe there's anything else that you need to do with this, okay? So it should have your name and what you're making somewhere on the sheet, as well as what folder you saved it in. It should translate that or populate that for you, and you should be all set. So then you would just save this. I would save it, and again, it's going to list it as the part that we were making before. Okay, so mine is Trombley 2x4, and then just adds the word drawing to it. And just click save. And then we are all set.